I'm Max Keiser.
I'm Kathleen Cleaver.
Well, this is the Keiser Report. There must be a big story here. Talk to me.
Well, Max, it appears that your billboard in Times Square was spotted. Your $500 silver if you want it. We received this tweet from Sean Ono Lennon. Max and Stacy are like the Eldridge Cleaver and Kathleen Cleaver of the financial revolution, that this time will be televised.
That sounds righteous.
Well, Eldridge Cleaver was the Minister of Information for the Black Panther Party, and he was, standing up against the oppressor that kept them in ghettos. And you and I here on the Keiser Report are resisting the financial oppressors that keep us in debt ghettos.
That's right, and he's also famous for a pair of trousers that he designed, the Eldridge Cleaver sleeve. These are the pants I wear when I'm doing the show.
So I want to show you that the financial war is on, and this war is over if you want it. J.P. Morgan chief says bank rules anti-U.S.
Yeah, I saw that. Tell us more.
So J.P. Morgan chief executive Jamie Dimon was interviewed in the Financial Times. And he said, I'm very close to thinking the United States shouldn't be in Basel anymore. I would not have agreed to rules that are blatantly anti-American. Our regulators should go there and say it's not in the interest of the United States, we're not doing it. And this refers to raising Tier 1 capital to 9.5% in relation to the banks that are too big to fail, including J.P. Morgan.
Now, I'm really tired of J.P. Morgan and Jamie Dimon treating America like a special needs child. I'm tired of him trying to convince the world that America needs to be coddled and treated like a baby. Americans want to compete. They can compete, except for banks like J.P. Morgan that have snuffed it down with too much debt. If Jamie Dimon resigned, if J.P. Morgan were shut down, this would be the greatest possible thing for American competitiveness, because he's choking the competitive spigot with his debt fraud and debt pushing. He's the terrorist. Jamie Dimon, I don't say that to be glib, Stacey Herbert. I'm saying that because he fits the profile of a terrorist. He's a psychopath. He follows an outdated ideology, and he's willing to kill himself for his god, money.
Well, I think it's actually, terrorists tend to use asymmetric warfare because they themselves are weak and they cannot fight against the power of the empire. So in this case, I think J.P. Morgan and Jamie Dimon are the empire. They are operating the financial war. They are carpet bombing us with debt. And so it makes sense that people are saying, Yankee, go home, like in the Vietnam War, of course.
What? Vietnam War is getting more and more resonance in this era because you've got the stagflation, you've got the Eldridge Cleaver, Kathleen Cleaver of the Give Financial Peace a Chance movement back on stage. You've got the Eldridge Cleaver pants, which will be coming back in a huge way.
And, of course, during the Vietnam War, we saw Agent Orange used to carpet bomb the nation of Vietnam. Our current Agent Orange in this financial war is high-frequency trading. The 300 million pound cable that will save traders milliseconds. So this is a nearly $500 million cable being laid from New York to London. And this is in order to save 6 milliseconds over the current 65 milliseconds that it takes to cross the current cables.
Yeah, these high-frequency trading and this 300 million pound project, I mean, high-frequency trading is looting, okay? Now, this is what I don't understand about David Cameron in the UK. He castigates the looters and the rioters, but all they're doing is emulating J.P. Morgan bankers. They're looting. This is a high-frequency trading looting. And they're getting the government. They're getting these people who are looting, sticks of juicy fruit gum on the street because they're having their money stolen to pay for high-frequency trading looting. Of course they're going to be looting. Of course you invited this into your own homes because you support looters at the banks in the City of London. And that new initiative to split the two banks between the Casino Bank and the Utility Bank in the UK, of course that's been delayed another 5 or 6 years because David Cameron lives on looting. He is in fact a terrorist as well. And I say that not to be glib. I say that as a point of fact. Cameron and Osborne are terrorists. They're financial terrorists. They're committing financial oppression. They're killing people.
But to put this into context, how much they can loot, 1 millisecond advantage could be worth up to $100 million per year to the bottom line of a large hedge fund. So, Max, you know markets. Where do they get this $100 million in profits per 1 millisecond?
By stepping in front of normal trading activity on the exchange. And when buyers and sellers come together to effect a trade, if you can step in front of those two and create a meta trade that interrupts the normal functioning of markets and steal a few pennies from that price discovery moment, you get to loot a few pennies. Multiply that times $1 trillion, and you've got many, many billions of dollars worth of illicit profits that go into the bottom line, which incidentally is never reported because it's held off balance sheet or in a shadow banking system or in a pet off balance sheet bank. JP Morgan, the Enron of our times, they're going to zero. Especially if we get $500 silver. Then JP Morgan is definitely going to silver, and that major financial terrorist will be wiped out.
Well, Max, London is the heart of this financial war, and wherever you find financial mercenaries and warriors, you find prostitutes. Lap dancing takes off among students struggling with fees. So apparently, students in the UK have been saddled with debt up to £9,000 per year in these fees, and they're turning to lap dancing. So London has become kind of the Saigon of this financial war.
They love you a long time.
Me love you long time. Me love you long time.
I mean, where's Oliver Stone in all this? Anyway, you know, it's funny because the airport ramp from the airport in Nice that goes onto the Promenade des Anglais, no matter what country is having the worst financial crisis at that moment, there's usually prostitutes from that country on that off-ramp. You see them on your coming out of the airport. And I wouldn't be surprised to see young American girls there soon prostituting themselves because of the financial Armageddon that's visited upon them from their fearless leader, oh glorious Obama.
Well, it turns out that 18% of the lap dancers at this one lap dancing chain in London are college students. And the owner of this chain says that these girls are very popular because his clients often don't expect them to be knowledgeable and interesting as well as attractive.
Well, they like to have a lap dance and talk about interest rate differentials from School of Economics co-eds that unfortunately have to prostitute themselves because Osborne and Cameron raised the tuition fee to bail out the banks. Osborne must be down at these clubs every night. Mrs. Osborne, you should want your husband to be a little bit more above board with his economic policies, or else you're going to lose him to this 22-year-old shiksa down at the Rhinoceros lap dancing spot.
So the carpet bombing began 9/11, 2001, that annual holiday in America. Since 9/11, it has paid to own silver, gold, and oil. Again, this is the asymmetric warfare that we have identified with the $500 silver if you want it. You can end this financial war. It's in your power to end this financial war. The best performing asset, according to Wall Street Journal, was silver. It's been up more than 900% since the 11th of September 2001. Gold was a healthy second, up 568%, and oil up over 200%.
No, we called it. In 2002, we said go 90% of your portfolio into gold and silver. I haven't changed my allocation since then. I'm still 90% gold and silver.
But Max, what about the psyops here? Because the dollar in that time is down 34%. But if you were to look at the other financial news programs, you would think that the safe haven during this entire time has always been the U.S. dollar. Those get prominent headlines, and you would think, in fact, that the volatile, dangerous asset to associate yourself with is silver.
Because the psyops, the mainstream media like CNBC, is a propaganda outlet. Like, again, the Vietnam War. If you look at those Vietnam War movies, there's always some chick on a speaker, someone saying, "You Americans, you'll never win this war," type of thing. That's what CNBC is all about. They're flooding the airwaves with propaganda that the dollar is good and that precious metals are bad. And, of course, they're going to lose this war because silver's going to 500 thanks to you.
And, of course, many in the West think somehow that they're not the ones also being carpet bombed. So let's look at this other headline, and this is from January of 2011. The difference 10 years makes. And the chart is literally a picture that tells 1,000 words. Employment down, income down, household net worth down, GDP up. And yet incomes were down, Max. That means that workers were sharing none of it. Wealth of the average household down. Corporate profits up. Obviously, you see that number there? The most.
Yes, corporations have been given carte blanche, all the money they could possibly ever want from the government, and they don't have to hire anybody. As a matter of fact, they can fire people. So, again, it's a model of terrorism.
And you see the two columns to the right are health insurance and oil prices. Those are up. And health insurance, of course, is part of the financial sector. Many Americans don't understand that. They don't believe it. They will call it socialism if you try to take that debt away from them.
Yeah.
But it's financial war.
Well, Americans are stupid because they'll participate in Groupon for discounts on nail care or sushi, but they won't want a group discount on health care.
So let's talk about more of this financial war and the debt bombs being thrown at everybody. Two final headlines here, Max. G8 raises Arab Spring financing pledge to $38 billion. So they've doubled the amount they're pledging. And remember, the PSYOPs, they make it sound like we're giving aid to these people in the Arab Spring countries. And in fact, it's all loans, almost all of it, by the G7 countries, including France, Italy, on the verge of collapse. Where do these people get the money? The IMF is also pledging $35 billion in aid debt to these countries. Where do they get the money?
Yeah, they're occupying these countries with debt. It's debt, as we've been saying, debt terrorism. It's
debt terrorism, debt carpet bombing of these countries.
Yeah, it's debt used as an instrument of control. And it's just been spreading for decades. Christine Lagarde, new IMF head, she understands this philosophy very well. She's a debt prostitute. She's a debt madam, if you will. She's a debt madam, and these countries are debt prostitutes.
Oh, you mean Christine Lagarde? She loves Arab Spring long time?
Oh, yeah.
So, and then here's another part of this financial war here, Max. Savers miss out on £43 billion in interest since March 2008. So figures from the Bank of England suggest that savers have lost more than $43 billion since bank rate was cut to 0.5% 2.5 years ago. But borrowers have benefited to the tune of more than £51 billion as they have paid less in interest on their loans over the same period.
Right, the math doesn't add up. If you want to restore the economy, raise interest rates so people can save money and that you have capital as the basis of capitalism, but nobody's interested in that anymore.
And I have one final thing to say on this, Max, and that is that to put this into context, in the UK at the moment there's a raging debate about this 50% tax. The bankers are resisting it, but the 50% tax rate will raise $12.6 billion over 5 years. Here, $43 billion stolen from savers over 2.5 years, and they remain silent.
Hey, we're here making the noise for the savers. We're defending the interest of the savers. We're the Kathleen and Eldridge Cleaver of the new 70s Give Financial Peace a Chance movement, says our friend Sean Ono Lennon.
Silver Liberation Army all the way.
I'm loving it. Stay right there. Much more coming your way, so stay tuned.